walk away with is this concept of that they can do things here or experience things here that they really can't just about anywhere else in the world. We've gone to great lengths to simulate an African safari experience where the guests can walk out on their balcony and see the things you just saw in the savannah, all of the wildlife, the antelope, the birds, etc., and feel like they're on safari in Africa. There are very few places you can go do that, most of them in Africa, and those are some unbelievable, amazing experiences that take what we've been able to create here and obviously blow it out to a much larger level. But even in those places where you can do that, what you can't do is then turn around and go out the other door and go to the Magic Kingdom and go to Epcot and be in the middle of all of these other things. So it really is kind of a one-of-a-kind experience here at the Animal Kingdom Lodge. You have an African safari and then have all of these other resources at Disney at your disposal as well. So what we want the guests to feel like when they're at the lodge is that they're truly, as much as we can get in Orlando, in Africa. We don't want them to see the spires of Cinderella's castle in the background and know that they're there. We want them to feel completely immersed in that African spirit while they're here, and then when they leave, then they'll remember that they're in Orlando and they're at Disney World, all those sorts of things. So how do we immerse them in that African experience? A lot of different elements to the lodge. Hopefully you've seen a lot of these different elements: the architecture, the food, the wildlife, and the artwork, for example. What you may not know, has anyone gotten the opportunity to look at any of the artwork in the lobbies and the hallways?
Very nice.
We saw it in the lobbies.
Beautiful lobby. All right. Lots of great pieces. We actually have an art curator who went to Africa to collect these pieces, and all of them are authentic pieces that were gathered up from various different cultures throughout Africa. So they weren't commissioned by somebody sitting in an art studio in Chicago to make. They were actually made by people in Africa, from Africa, used in their, most of them were used in their culture in whatever capacity that piece of art might have been used, and then brought over here. So the sort of astounding and surprising fact about our art collection is that it is the largest on-display collection of African art in all of North America. And that is, a pretty amazing fact because we're not a museum. We're a hotel. We're a resort. But now when I say that it's the largest collection, I want to make sure I'm clear, because I know this is going into print somewhere, that it's the largest on-display collection. So what that means is museums like the Smithsonian, which have one of the world's most amazing collections of African art, they have a larger collection of African art than we do, but they keep most of it in the off-stage, backstage area, and at any given time they'll take a portion of it and do an exhibit, and they'll put it out, and then a few months later they'll rotate that away and do a different exhibit and rotate that piece out. So our display is the largest, our collection is the largest on-display collection of African art in North America. So little things like that help immerse the guests in that African spirit. One of the things that we want to make sure they do for that spirit is hear it really directly from someone who experiences African culture. I can talk all day about the architecture and the artwork and the animals and all of those wonderful things, but it's not the same as hearing it from somebody who's actually from Africa. So one of my favorite pieces, really the key piece to this immersion, is that we bring folks like Sam over from Africa to really interact with the guests and talk to them and make sure that they're getting the authentic, first-hand experience of what it's like to be in Africa. And we have our cultural reps in a few different places, in the food and beverage area, as hosts and hostesses in the restaurant, in the lobby as the lobby greeter, and then also as Savannah guides, which is what Sam does. And their job, the Savannah guides, is primarily to teach both kids and adults about wildlife and about African culture. So they have fun while they're here. We do a variety of different types of activities with the kids so that they're having a good time, but they're also learning a little something. We like to call it stealth education. If we tell the kids that we're going to teach them something, they're out the door. I'm on vacation at Disney World. I'm not in school. You're not teaching me anything. So we play games with them, we do activities with them, we do camps with them, and then through the process they learn things about conservation, about wildlife, and about African culture. So Sam's going to tell you a little bit about himself and a little bit about some of those activities that we do.
Okay, good morning everyone. My name is Sam. I'm from the southern part of Africa in one country called Botswana. I'm from the northwest part of Botswana. That's where my country is. My town is called Kasame, as you see here. And then I work there in the Chobe National Park in one 5-star lodge called Chobe Game Lodge as a guides manager. And I worked there for 8 years, like I said. Then I shifted to one other area where I'm working now. I've been there for 8.5 years now. It's actually a joint venture. 50% owned by the government, Botswana government, and 50% owned by the DBS company in South Africa. And then they formulated a park, the two formulated a park, and I happen to be a wildlife conservationist there. And we actually introduced a program last year in 2007, 2008, and 2009 this year. So what we actually did is we want to formulate a kind of conservation environmental education for kids. So I come here specifically to come and share my views, what you guys have for me, so that I can learn from what you have, and then implement those other concepts that I see fit well to uplift our standard of doing things back home, and also share from what I have in some sort of patience. So what we have here in the Kidani and the Jumbo House, I'll simply issue out the scripts. They are back to back. The other one represents Jumbo, the other one represents Kidani village.
Oh, great. Oh, this is...
So we have about 5 different activities that we do, and out of that I'll just pick the 2 to kind of give an example. So we have the telemetry here. Telemetry is actually a radioactive device, instrument used to try and track the animals. It can be done in 2 ways. If there is an outbreak of a certain disease, one animal from the group will be identified and collared. We just put a collar, like a belt sort of, on the neck. So then we use this. I will just give a clear demonstration. The closer you are, it gives that bleeping sound. If you take a different direction, the sound goes down, or maybe completely out. So we have 2 ways of doing it. We either use the helicopter up in the air, trying to track that animal, or we use the vehicles, shifting the area from side to side, trying to detect the area where the particular animal is. So up here in the lodge, what we do for the kids, we imitate those kind of wild activities. What we do is I will just go hide this somewhere, and then let the kid try and find it for me. So those are the kind of fun that we create for them to give special moments here. Then secondly, we have the flamingo one, which is right behind you guys there. We have one activity called flamingo activity. What we do is that we actually imitate the kind of feeding habit of the flamingos. So we feed the flamingos shrimps, and the shrimps they contain what we call carotene. That's where they get their color, their pinkish color. So, and also we imitate their feeding habit, because in most cases they are fed right behind there. There is a lower pond there. So they will get the feed, and then they will mix it with the water, moving from side to side, moving from side to side, and eventually filter out the water and then swallow the feed. So those are the kind of activities that we do. Then we have what we call the string of memories. So each and every of the Jumbo House activities that we do here, you get a bee. So each and every activity, like if you do the flamingo one, the pelican, whatever kind of activity that you do, and the last activity that you do is to be awarded by the totem bead. The totem bead, the way I know from my country, what it represents is the fact that it's the only thing that you ever respect in your life forever. Like for me, my totem is a monkey. So I'll do anything good to a monkey. I want it. Mostly our monkeys, they'll feed on fruits back in the wild. And then whatever has been eaten, because I like fruits back in the wild. I eat sour plums, I eat red plums, I eat the bananas in the bush. So if a monkey has maybe ate half of that, I wouldn't like touch it. I would just respect it there because it's the monkey food. I don't eat it. Then I will have to find a fresh one solid. That's when I will eat it. So that one I won't touch it. So for them here, we just treat it in the same manner to say, they give us a promise to say, like I gave the promise to the monkey, and then also they do it to say, I will respect all the animals at all times, and I'll share the information of respecting the animal to my counterparts, be it my age level, my parents, and my colleagues at school. So that's what we give them as the last one. Then over to the Kidani village, we have this kind of different activities as well. From 6 to 12 years kids, they will register for different activities. We have the animal programs, we have the reptile programs, we have the birds like the flying ones, we have the art, we have the games here, and then the last one is the culture. So those are the kind of activities that we do. So what they will do is the parents will come drop them, and then they spend 2.5 hours for these activities, learning of their own choice that they choose. And then the last one that they get, instead of getting the totem like they do here, for that side they get this here written Camp Kidani Junior Savannah Guide. So they definitely become Junior Savannah Guide, just like I am a Savannah Guide. So that's what we award them back in the Jumbo House. So we have the flag here in front of me. That is the flag for my country. So the blue represents water. So the town I am from, Kasame, is the highest among the whole entire district. I mean the whole